What do you do if it's almost the end of the world and you've just gotten fired? Party. Let's party. Totally. Season 1, Episode 8 of The Passage. Review and breakdown. Hey y'all, it's your Twisted Girl Next Door here, and today I am doing a review and breakdown of Season 1, Episode 8 of The Passage. You're not that girl anymore. Okay, so if you're new here, this is the way it goes. I do my overall thoughts of the episode, as in what I thought overall of the episode, the happenings, as in what happened in the episode and my thoughts on it, ship talk, because I do enjoy talking about relationships occasionally, best line of the episode, because there are some great one-liners in this show, predictions, because I'll take a guess even if I'm wrong, and finally, book comparison, because as you know, The Passage is based off of the best-selling trilogy novel series. Overall, I thought this episode was solid. It is, once again, we've been having a lot of episodes that are kind of the calm before the storm. This episode wasn't necessarily calm. It wasn't calm at all. What this episode was a lot of revelations and a lot of lines being drawn in the sand, even more so. And more so revelations happening that would kind of, everything was coming full circle in this episode. All the groundwork that was being laid with certain characters like Gilder and others and Gray were being revealed, and what they made, you know, a contribution to the overall like diabolical plot that, you know, Fanning had. And so I appreciated that. And I thought there was some solid moments. It's not like the weakest link episode. I like I said, I think last episode was kind of maybe the weakest linked episode for me, just in terms of the pacing of the episode. But I think this episode in particular, it was very focused on all the things of the crap hitting the fan. So I appreciated that. Will Amy turn, or will she turn to something else? Okay, so mainly in this part of the episode, or this main plot, Amy has gotten sick. She was losing a tooth, she started spitting blood, and we all know those are the telltale signs of someone about to turn viral. And Fanning was basically in her mind, and he had a confrontation with Carter, who totally wanted him to back off of Fanning, but Fanning was like, no, I need her as the 12. You know, viral, because the 12 is very important to him for reasons. And so, you know, what we got was a very strong showing of who Amy is as a character, of her making her kind of own decision of what she was going to do. I thought that plot line was solid. I might have asked for a little bit more when it came to a final confrontation with Fanning and Amy. But then again, we know this isn't the final confrontation, right? Because we know things are about to get a lot worse. And so Amy needed to make this transition. And I think we also needed to see that when she can face off with Fanning, that she can hold her own. And that maybe that'll grow even stronger as she realizes whatever power she may have and whatever this means for her in the choice that she made. And I appreciated and loved that moment of Brad talking to her where they said, you know, you don't leave me, I don't leave you. It was a callback to the earlier episodes where we fell in love with this, you know, bond between them, where he was like, it's okay to let go. And I kind of felt like this was, in a way, for Brad, his way of being able to maybe let go of his daughter that he lost too, of being okay with letting go. And so I appreciated that moment. It was a very poignant moment. And I think it's interesting that Amy basically was like, I'm not choosing your way or to die. I'm choosing something else. How she knew to do that, I don't know, but she did it. Project Noah is going to crap. Okay, so there was a lot going on in Project Noah. A lot of things happening when it came to, you know, Brad and Sykes and Lila trying to somehow save Amy, trying to find some type of serum. Gilder pulling what he did, and we find out that Martinez, who I said was shady and could not be trusted, I was totally right. Martinez is one of the 12. He's viral number 2, actually, so he's possibly high up there when it comes to being a viral, and he had basically gotten into Gilder's mind to give him all of the security code access. Oh my gosh, that twist. That was awesome. Okay, that's one point of that plot line. That was friggin' awesome. I didn't see it coming. I felt like Martinez was going to be shady, and I thought maybe Fanning had got to him, but I wasn't sure that. I didn't think he was a viral, though. You know, I thought maybe Fanning was just able to control him, kind of like how we saw in this plot line that Fanning had been controlling Gray and was able to make it so that Gray let all of them out. So I kind of thought it was going to be the same thing with Martinez, but Martinez is actually a straight up viral, and he had the power to totally mess with Gilder's mind. Now, I will say it kind of broke the universe a little bit, only because, as we have seen when it comes to the dream sequences, there's a certain color they use, and this isn't me being like a cinematography snob. Hardly. I am not. I'm just saying that, you know, when you world build, you've created certain rules, right? And they did create something of a rule when it came to the way the things look inside your mind when the virals are inside your mind. There's a certain kind of yellowish color, like sunset or something, and they kind of broke that in order to throw us off about Martinez. Now, I'm not calling foul. It was a great twist. It just kind of didn't go along with the universe they built in terms of the coloring when the virals are in people's minds. So they kind of cheated a little bit to kind of get that twist over on us, but it was a great twist nonetheless. Sykes was so awesome this episode. Dr. Nicole Sykes. And I've got some predictions that connect with the book that I want to talk about. I got a real crazy theory, and I don't think it's so crazy. And I think I might actually be onto something when it comes to her. So I'll get into that a little later. But I just loved her and Lila talking nerd when it came to, you know, medicine and whatnot. And Sykes just really stepping up to be on Amy's side. And she created the serum. So I think this is going to be a poignant thing. Sykes was the one that got the serum in terms of, you know, dealing with Fanning's blood, kind of like how you deal with AIDS, HIV, of neutralizing it. And so I think that's going to make a very key, poignant part. And I'm just glad that Sykes has, in the second half of the season, just really stepped up and being such a cool, badass character. Like, I'm so excited that she's as cool as she has become. And away from whatever that thing is with Clark and Babcock, which I'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, she was totally so cool, and it really sucked that she got locked in the lab, and that's probably going to be an issue, and I just really hope she doesn't die. Also, Lila got knocked out by Gray. So that was messed up. She got hit in the head pretty hard. So who knows, with these virals, you know, they broke out, right? And she's laying there unconscious. So that's going to be a thing. Yeah, so basically this is close to the end of the world as we know it. Lacey is on her way. That's really all I got on that happening because they only gave her like one scene. Babcock and Clark. I'm just not feeling this relationship. I don't know why they inserted this like sexual romantic angle with them. I actually found a lot more interesting Babcock's connection with Sykes and that sort of frenemies thing that they had started going on, and I thought that was a lot more complex and layered because both of these women are so much about survival and their own missions, and I just thought that was way more of a dynamic face-off. And they've kind of made it with Babcock and Richards. You know, I mentioned it last episode, she has feelings for him. We saw a flashback with this, and I honestly thought these flashbacks were so like out of place. Like, so out of place. It was kind of like they had to show us the flashback to justify why she cares about this guy. And even then, when I saw the flashbacks, I'm like, why does she care about this guy? He totally still turned you in, girl. He kept you there until the guards came. So I'm just like, why is this character who we've learned and we sympathize with already in a way, in a layered way? She's still the bad guy. I still maintain Babcock is a bad guy. But, you know, they made it so she had a gray area to her, right? And I feel like in the last couple of episodes, they sort of reduced her to this B plot of kind of fawning over Richards. And it's kind of like, why? I thought that kiss was awkward. I did appreciate when Clark basically told her, when I get a chance, I'm going to kill you. I like that part because that was true to his character. And not in like, oh, he's a bad guy kind of way, but kind of like, why would he want to be your pet? Why would he want to be what you've become? You're a monster to a certain degree, right? So that was the only saving grace of that plot point, just to kind of have it so Clark put his line in the sand of saying, I'm not on your side. I'm not choosing you. Be like the Fonz for all I care. I thought that was so funny. Fanning was just not here for Carter's moral high ground that he was trying to be on. He was like, I don't care what you do. You're one of my 12 and I'm trying to get her. So buzz off, man. I think the serum that Sykes created is going to play a very pivotal role when it comes to the longevity of the characters that we've gotten to know. I do think some of those characters are going to end up taking the serum for whatever reason, and that's going to prolong something. It's going to turn something, and so I think that's going to play a big role in it. Now, this is kind of a prediction and half wishful thinking that, you know, if something was to happen to Sykes, that she would insert herself with the serum so that she gets to stay around. That's what I'm hoping. I hope that. I do. Okay, so with the book comparison, there were a few parallels that happened in the book when it came to the plot line, such as Gray, who had kind of fallen off the map for a bit. But, you know, it's a big cast. There's a lot of plot lines going on. That's the same thing in the book. There's a lot of plot lines in the 3 novels, a lot of plot lines, a lot of different stories going on. And I think, you know, kudos to the show for being able to make this very, you know, cohesive for the most part. You're not going to get everything, you know, in a series that's on TV versus a book when you have a lot, you know, because in books you have a lot more time to sit with something, to sit with characters, and make it as long as you want. Can't necessarily do that in a TV drama, and I think they've done a good job in keeping some of the key elements. One of those key elements being the situation with Gray and him being controlled by Fanning to a certain degree. They've kind of kept away from the details of, you know, Gray's character, because in the book, like I said before, he's a child molester, but in this particular case, they don't talk about that much, but he is, you know, he is very much controlled by Fanning, and he was the one to help to release the virals, which is in the novel. So Martinez is also in the novels as well, although he has the same origin story in a way, but in terms of the actual actions of what he did, I think they kind of tweaked it a little bit in terms of him being in the facility for that awesome plot twist that they kind of cheated to give us. And I didn't mention it before, but in the books, Fanning is in love with Jonas's wife, Liz. So that's a thing in the books as well. Although it plays out differently. Liz actually dies from, you know, gets killed before they meet. And before he actually becomes a viral, because they were supposed to meet and then get out or something like that of the city. And so in his mourning, he, you know, becomes bitter and things of that nature. Now, they do have him mourning in the show, but in the show, they played up Lear and Liz's relationship as a bigger love story. And in the novels, I feel like they played it a little bit more like, you know, Liz chose Fanning. Like, it seemed like they were going to actually run away from each other, from my understanding what happened in the novels. And so they didn't do that in this one. So here's my theory. When it comes to predictions, it's a mixture of predictions, a mixture of what I know of what happens in the novels. Hear me out, okay? From what I know about the novels, Lacey is a character who, of course, is a nun. They made her a little bit more, you know, gun-wielding in the TV show, but she's still very much in tune with her religion. And that somehow she ends up, you know, in the book, she gets bitten and she's given the serum, Lear's serum. Lear was the one in the book that made the serum originally. And so that makes it so she's able to live long and stay at the facility waiting for Amy to return. And in the book, her and Lear fall in love eventually, like some 90 years from now or something like that, depending, you know, from the book. So, okay. So I still think Lacey is going to be a character that's going to be around for sure, because I don't think they'd be building her up for her to, like, die in the first season. But what I'm going to say is I think that they are melding, in a way, Sykes and Lacey's characters. Not melding necessarily like making them the same character. What I mean is they might be giving Sykes some of Lacey's plot line. Because and it kind of went under the radar. I wasn't even noticing it. The bond that Sykes and Lear have had, when it comes to working together and stuff. And I did see some chemistry between the actors, but I didn't pay much attention to it because of, the other relationships that were being focused on. But it wouldn't surprise me if somehow, because, we know Sykes is stuck in the lab and she has the serum, that something happens where she gives herself the serum in order to survive. And I think that'd be a nice, rewind or, full circle to the situation of her not wanting to die. Because as we remember from the episode where they showed the back plot between her and Shauna, was that she almost killed herself. And I think it would be a waste to have this character die because you pointedly gave her that kind of plot line. So I feel like she would also choose to live. She would be about surviving. And that's what she kind of said to Shauna, that it was about survival. She decided and she adapted to survive. And I feel like they may be coming to make it so that she takes the serum, and not that she takes over Lacey's part necessarily, but that maybe she survives and Lear survives and they are the ones that fall in love later on. I think that kind of makes sense. Not saying, hey, I'm not against Lacey getting some love with Lear. Hey, they can totally do it. It's kind of interesting to me because they did make Lacey a slightly older woman. Not saying that she can't get her groove back with Lear, but just because they've been playing with Lear and Sykes having scenes with each other and bonding. So now this could be totally wrong because they could kill off Sykes in the 2-hour season finale, but I do think it's poignant that they're kind of pushing this. And if the way Lacey's story ends in a way in the novels is any indication of that connection they're making with Sykes, I think it would make a lot of sense just because they played up Sykes' connection with Babcock. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It's not really spoilery because they may not even be following these books at all. They tweaked a lot of stuff, but that's kind of my crazy theory. Don't think it's too crazy, but that's what I think they're going to do with Sykes if they let her live past season 1. All right, so what did you think of episode 8, season 1 of The Passage? Let me know. What do you think of my theory? Because I think it's a good theory. Let me know. Do you think I'm completely off? Do you think I'm making some sense here? Let me know. Comment down below. And also be sure to subscribe so that you are the first to know when I post my videos of all things horror, dark fantasy, and dark superhero. Thanks for watching. Let's get creepy together.